This is the evangelist giving an overview of the work that John is currently doing in the span of what he will experience in his ministry for Christ. If you know the story, and many of us do, right? John ends up in prison. John also in prison ends up getting his head cut off at the whims of Herod's daughter, sister, cousin, somebody in Herod. Yeah, all of the above, right? Thank you, Pastor. I appreciate that, right? So he gets beheaded, right? Now I don't know if John knew that at this time. I don't know if he knew that's what God's plan for his life was. I don't know if jail was in the horizon for him. I don't know if beheading was on the horizon for John here. But what I do know is John understood his life as he prepares the way of the Lamb who takes away the sins of the world, was fully engaged in the mission of the kingdom of God. He understood that his entire life was a commissioning and an exaltation and an uplifting of Jesus. Not just a season and not just some later seasons, not just after he got married and had kids and then his kids grew up and then he retired, then that season was for Jesus. No, his entire life was on call for Jesus. He was in the mission. He had been called to the mission, gifted for the mission, equipped for the mission, deployed into the mission, and now he was on mission for God. Your entire life, my entire life, John's entire life, he understood was an offering to God. And so often we have people that will say, well, I just need to take a season, right? We just need a season. And John would respond to us, I hadn't been put in prison yet. I hadn't been beheaded yet. Right? John finished unto death. The end of John's ministry was death. It wasn't because he got too busy. It wasn't because he got too tired. It wasn't because he ran out of money. It wasn't because he just got in a crazy season and couldn't prioritize correctly. No, his ministry ended when it was death. And your whole life and my whole life is an offering to God. And so look, I'm all for being in balance, right? I'm all for having things in order. I'm all for having vacations and things. But I am saying your life and my life in its entirety is an offering to God. So you want a season? Does that season not belong to Jesus? Does the season of engagement not belong to Jesus? Does the season of young kids not belong to Jesus? Does the season of kids in the home not belong to Jesus? What season of your life doesn't belong to Jesus? And John would say, none, because I finished my course unto death. John teaches us that your entire life and my entire life is an offering to Jesus. So God's deepest work in you will be in the work.